Maria stares at the empty side of the bed, and for the first time in 3 years, she doesn't feel that familiar knot of anxiety in her stomach. 6 months ago, she made the hardest decision of her life. She left the man she thought she'd marry. Not because he hit her, not because he cheated, but because slowly, quietly, he was destroying her soul. Today, we're talking about the courage it takes to leave toxic relationships for your mental health, and why sometimes walking away from someone you love is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. Hi everyone, and this is a conversation I wish someone had with me years ago. We're going to talk about something that millions of people struggle with but rarely discuss openly. The heartbreaking reality of loving someone who's toxic for your mental health. Maria's story isn't uncommon. She met David at work. He was charming, successful, funny, everything she thought she wanted. But somewhere between the romantic dinners and the I love yous, something shifted. It started small. Comments about her clothes being too revealing when she wore a dress she loved. Jokes about her intelligence that didn't feel like jokes. Questions about where she'd been and who she'd talked to that felt more like interrogations than curiosity. And the worst part? She started believing it was normal. Here's what we need to understand about toxic relationships. They rarely start toxic. They begin with love, with chemistry, with someone who makes you feel special. But toxic people are masters at something called love bombing, followed by gradual erosion. They shower you with attention and affection, making you feel like you've found the one. And then slowly, almost imperceptibly, they start chipping away at your self-worth. The manipulation is so subtle that you don't even realize it's happening. One day you're confident and independent, and the next you're asking permission to see your friends, doubting your own memories, and walking on eggshells in your own home. You might be thinking, why don't people just leave? And that's the million-dollar question that reveals how little we understand about psychological abuse. Leaving isn't just about packing your bags. It's about rebuilding your entire sense of self. When someone has convinced you that you're too sensitive, too emotional, too much or not enough, the idea of surviving on your own feels impossible. Toxic partners are experts at creating dependency. They isolate you from friends and family, making you believe that they're the only ones who truly understand you. They undermine your confidence at work with subtle comments about your abilities. They create financial dependency, emotional dependency, and most devastatingly, they create doubt about your own perceptions of reality. This is called gaslighting, and it's one of the most insidious forms of emotional abuse. But here's what I want every person in a toxic relationship to know. That voice in your head, the one questioning whether you're overreacting, whether you're being too sensitive, whether maybe they're right about you. That voice isn't your intuition. That's their voice that's become so loud in your head that you've forgotten what your own voice sounds like. Your real voice, the one that's been trying to protect you this whole time, is the one that feels uneasy when they criticize you. It's the voice that notices how your friends have stopped calling. It's the voice that recognizes that you don't laugh as much as you used to. Let's talk about what toxic relationships do to your mental health, because the damage isn't just emotional, it's physical, psychological, and spiritual. Chronic stress from walking on eggshells causes anxiety disorders, depression, and even physical symptoms like headaches, digestive issues, and insomnia. Your nervous system is constantly activated, waiting for the next criticism, the next argument, the next time you'll do something wrong. Many people in toxic relationships develop complex PTSD, not from a single traumatic event, but from the constant, ongoing psychological warfare that becomes their daily reality. But here's where the story gets hopeful. Recovery is possible, healing is possible, and you are stronger than you think. Maria didn't leave overnight. It took her 2 years of therapy, multiple attempts, and a support system she had to rebuild from scratch. The first step was recognizing that what was happening to her wasn't normal or acceptable. The second was understanding that leaving would be hard, but staying would be harder. She had to grieve not just the relationship, but the person she thought she was in love with. Because that person, the charming one from the beginning, was never real. That was a mask, a performance designed to hook her. The third step was the hardest, learning to trust herself again. After years of being told her feelings were wrong, her memories were false, and her reactions were extreme, she had to slowly, carefully, learn to listen to her own inner voice again.